This video is sponsored by Micro Audio, a new app that covers news stories and topics every day in digestible 3 to 5 minute short form audio summaries, reinventing the way you consume news through audio. What's up, Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Bits for everything good and bad inside the world of Apple. And you know why you're here? This is my recap and all of my reactions to Apple's iPhone 12 and HomePod mini event. Now that everything is official, it's time once again to throw out those good apples and bad apples, and you might want to keep score for just how many I'm throwing around this time. Now, before we get carried away, look, my disclaimer is that I respect what the team at Apple does. They're a whole lot smarter than I will ever be. They're making amazing products. They make products that I enjoy, but I don't always like some of the decisions that they make, and that's just fair. So let's just get started with the appetizer of the event, and that was the HomePod mini. Apple is finally moving the HomePod and smart home platform in the right direction now. The HomePod mini looks good. It's wrapped in fabric. It's, kind of like an upside down Echo Dot that was originally modeled after then a Nexus Q. Just go back in your tech history now. But the HomePod mini is $99, and that's a price that won't scare anyone away from finally giving Apple's smart speaker a chance. Now, there's no way that it's going to sound as good as the HomePod, but Apple says audio quality from a speaker this size is unheard of, and I'm going to believe them for now because look at just how good the actual regular HomePod sounds. Now, it's opening up to more third-party services to work directly on the Mini alongside Apple Music. You got iHeartRadio, Radio.com, and TuneIn Radio, and music services Pandora and Amazon Music. But no sign of Spotify anywhere, who's kind of beefed with Apple over its practices, sparking antitrust investigations in the EU. Okay, fine, that's not a surprise. It's not there, but when that's the music service that I use, that's a sad Apple. Aww. Now, Apple brings a new intercom system of their own with the HomePod that allows you to communicate with people in different rooms where there's also a HomePod. Google has had this for almost 2 years, but Apple's intercom will also be able to reach family members who are driving in their car via CarPlay, or it will take over family members listening to AirPods in the home. That is just wild. So it's really this true ecosystem intercom that definitely takes it to another level. And I think that it's going to be kind of weird to get used to it at first, but once you start using it, it's going to come in super handy. Now, people who even called my live stream were more curious and excited about the HomePod mini and the intercom feature than even the iPhone 12. Look, at $99 for that price tag, it'll do that to you. Now, the mini recognizes multiple family members' voices like the current one does. Members will have to have their phone present on their home's network in order for it to access personal requests like your calendars or contacts. So the iPhone on-site is used as this authenticator, otherwise it will only handle generic responses. The thing that I love about this announcement the most, though, all of these new features coming to the HomePod mini look like they'll be coming to the main HomePod as well, because I was one of those guys who bought it, but not for that ridiculous $349 price tag. No. I got one for $199 for the record. Apple also put up a comparison between the two models, and the two things you'll be missing on the HomePod mini versus the regular HomePod is its spatial awareness feature to optimize sound inside any room depending on its location. Multi-room audio still works, and it can still be used as a stereo pair, but you won't be able to use HomePod minis to connect to an Apple TV 4K for home theater speakers. Now, the HomePod's feature set just got a whole lot better. We're going to still have to wait for the new Smart Home Alliance to go public so that the HomePod can now be compatible with tens of thousands of smart devices instead of the roughly 600 it can talk to right now. Like Amazon can talk to over 60,000. Google is at somewhere around 35,000. So Apple needs this. It has a more friendly $99 entry price point, but for people that have chosen Amazon's Alexa, the Google Assistant, or even Sonos' smart speaker setup, I think there's really no reason for you to make a switch unless you just have to go all Apple. This is really for the Apple user that has been holding off on the smart speaker, and Apple's finally giving them a reason to give it a try, and there's a good amount of you out there. Now, I won't be changing my home smart home platform, but I will be getting a HomePod mini, and that's a good Apple.
Yeah!
Also, I can't be the only one who noticed Apple used a fake rendering of a HomePod twice in their video. Like, look at that. That is so crappy looking. Really, guys? That's a bad Apple.
Boo!
That's right. I giveth and I taketh away. Now, for $99, this is going to be the ultimate gift this holiday season to get your Apple-loving friend or family member. I was hoping the regular HomePod would get a lower price point, but That didn't happen. But look, the HomePod mini and the direction Apple is going for the smart home, this is the right one. All right, let's jump over to the main event. The reason why many of us are checking our bank account balances or credit card limits. The iPhone 12 is officially here. The 12 mini, the 12, the 12 Pro, the 12 Pro Max, they all look great. I gotta love how Apple completely glossed over the fact that the frame looks almost exactly like the iPhone 5 design-wise. It's like an all-new iPhone from 2013. But the design is classic. It looks good, so hey, I got no complaints. And 2020 is really, to me, like the year of color in tech. The colors are popping. I feel like people have sometimes been more excited about new colors over actual devices. And I'm loving that greenish hue, the product red for the 12, that pops. The Pro line, it looks great, and I love gold. But the new Pro color, Pacific Blue, hey, that's looking real nice too. Until we all put cases on them. Now, they spent way too much time talking about 5G as if we've never heard of it, because in case you didn't already know, 5G just got real.
5G just got real.
5G just got real, man.
5G just got real.
Really? Now, I was honestly just watching the keynote, kind of going through the motions. There was 5G, the new A14 Bionic chip. Nothing was really getting my attention, but Apple, they went a little old school, retro on us, bringing back MagSafe now, not on the MacBooks where it was really the best, but on the back of the iPhone 12 lineup. They've incorporated it into wireless charging, new cases. You can charge magnetically through the cases, and then the MagSafe wallet that connects on top of the cases too. Really clever here. Apple showed off their own MagSafe Duo charger for both the iPhone 12 and Apple Watch side by side, and that freaking thing folds up for travel. That thing looks sick. It's also nowhere to be found on Apple's website, like no price, no availability. It's just like somewhere, like out there in my imagination, kind of like how the AirPower was. Oh, damn. Please be real, MagSafe, please. Now, Belkin is one of their first partners making accessories, and those look sick as well. But MagSafe is going to really open up a whole new multi-million, even billion-dollar market for accessory companies, and I absolutely love it. You know what? That's a good Apple.
Yeah!
Oh, I like. Now, Apple then gave us their environmental story, their reason for removing the power adapter and the earbuds like we expected. But again, the environment is only part of the story, and I appreciate that Apple, who sells hundreds of millions of phones, recognizes this and they're doing something about it. But it's also about cutting costs. Like they showed us that new, sexy, slimmer packaging while also saying we can ship more units on a single pallet. Yeah, that saves Apple money while being good for the environment. So the power adapter is gone, the earbuds are gone, but they're throwing in a Lightning to USB-C cable instead. I repeat, a Lightning to USB-C cable, which means that cable won't work with any of the chargers that Apple says you have plenty of. And if you want a power adapter, you're gonna have to go and buy a USB-C one starting at $19. Like, how many people are gonna go and get this and open it up? They look at that cable and think it still works with their old charger. They're gonna try and push it in, but it still won't work. They're gonna have to buy a new charger with that new cable or just throw the new cable in a drawer with everything else. Guess what? Android phones have been including USB-C chargers with their phones from day one. What a novel idea. And they might get rid of them eventually too, but they aren't providing a charging cable with a phone that doesn't work with their current power adapter. And Apple, they just glossed over this in the keynote. That's a bad Apple. Now, the other side of this is that Apple's really trying to push us towards this wireless MagSafe charging future and not a USB-C one. It's also one of the first real major steps towards Apple's vision that we've heard of, this portless iPhone, because MagSafe charging makes that possible. Now, the MagSafe charging cable they announced costs $39 with a USB-C connector at the end, and there's no availability date yet. Some of you might have a couple of USB-C chargers from recent MacBooks or iPads that were bought separately, but the general public doesn't, and that is who I'm looking out for. You and my mom and myself, because guess who has to deal with this when Mama Tong upgrades to her next iPhone? It's not you, it's not her, I do. And I'm not alone here. I know a lot of you, you're just like me. You feel this. Now, Apple finally revealed the iPhone 12 mini. Looked cute, might delete. But honestly, this might be the most popular iPhone of this entire lineup with its price point and a size that isn't too big, but not too small. And I still don't agree that 5.4 inches is a mini. Okay, let's talk about iPhone 12 Pros. These things look classy because when something is just shinier, it means it's classier. The entire iPhone lineup is a nice upgrade overall. Nothing to get overly excited about if you've owned an iPhone that's maybe 2 or 3 years old. But then Apple got me. Like with the camera, they just did it like they did with the iPhone 11 Pro. We got Apple Pro RAW. This is their new format coming later this year. It gives you all the standard RAW information along with Apple's image pipeline data. So we're talking deep fusion and smart HDR. You'll get more specific control and flexibility in the editing process that can be done directly on the phone or other apps with noise reduction and multi-frame exposure adjustments already in place. So you're just going to have more time to tweak color and white balance and more. You also have third-party apps that are going to be getting an API in the future to take advantage of this as well. We just haven't seen anything like this before on an iPhone. But then they decided to blow my mind even more in a first for a smartphone camera. The new iPhone 12s can shoot Dolby Vision HDR video at 4K and up to 40 frames per second for the Pros and then 30 frames per second for the 12 mini and 12. That is awesome, especially for someone like me who's creating content. And I know some people watching right now are going to say, hello, Samsung has a 4K HDR10 video capture at 60 frames per second. And they do. Look, they even have a 8K at 24 frames per second. But if you're talking about image quality, Dolby Vision is that next level up. You can't discount that and just say, hey, Apple licensed it. And yes, they did. But if you're one of those freaks who love Dolby Vision like I do, this is the format that's used by film studios for all the major movies, all your favorite ones you watch. It makes a difference. And it's just wild to me to think that something in your pocket will be able to record footage like this. The A14 is a freaking beast that is just powerful enough to edit content directly on your iPhone. Again, Dolby Vision 4K HDR. Then you can just AirPlay it to your TV over an Apple TV 4K onto a Dolby Vision 4K TV. There's a lot of steps there. Now, not everyone is going to care about all this, but as a video creator, this is amazing. You know, there has never been a workflow like this ever, and that's a rad Apple.
Yeah!
I'm also the person that has all of those devices, so it's probably why I'm excited to just kind of try it out and be a part of that. But let's put all that aside. If you just want one of the best cameras for photos and absolutely the best phone when it comes to video image quality, you should be damn excited about this. But here's also where things get tricky. The cameras, because the camera in the iPhone 12 Pro is different from the iPhone 12 Pro Max. You kind of knew that, but you've got to really check out my iPhone's 12 camera spec comparison because, look, Apple made it really complicated to figure this out. It was like a mess on their website. Their presentation was all over the place. So I decided to just really break it down in these nice, clean-looking tables so you can see it all because Apple wasn't going to do it, so someone had to. But here's my issue, right? The 12 mini and the 12, they have the same exact dual lens camera. The 12 Pros should also have the same cameras as Pros, but they don't. Like, I don't like having the biggest screen phone. They aren't comfortable one-handed to use. I mean, I jokingly say that they don't fit in my skinny jeans because they don't. So now for the first time in the Pro line, they decided to give the Pro Max a camera with better features. And now I have to decide between these two when I don't want a bigger phone. I didn't show this on my earlier breakdown, but the 12 Pro Max has a 47% larger sensor and larger pixels increase the amount of light gathered for the wide camera. Also, the 12 Pro Max has a new sensor shift optical image stabilization system that stabilizes the sensor instead of the lens for steadier shots. And then the 12 Pro Max has a zoom range of 5x compared to the 12 Pro's 4x zoom range. And we're going to talk about that zoom range thing later. But if you're a Pro Max person, you know, you don't care about this because you know that you'll get the best camera because that's in the size of the phone that you want. But I'm not that person. There isn't even a definition of what Pro means to Apple other than it's the top of the line for a specific product category. You have iPad Pro, AirPods Pro, iPhone 12 Pro. They don't share anything in common. They're just Pro because they're top of the line. And I get that the 12 Pro Max might, you know, maybe it has a little more space to work with to put in that camera. Not much, but maybe a little more. But still, why do I have to decide between a larger size? I want the top of the line camera, but I can't get it unless I go up to that larger size because these are both, according to Apple, Pro iPhones. And I know these are first world problems I'm complaining about. By the way, I get this, but we're talking about Apple on an Apple video. And I'm sure that Apple has had conversations about maybe putting or not putting their best camera inside that normal iPhone 12 Pro, because that would require them to redesign the internals for the 12 Pro versus keeping it pretty much the same as the regular 12. That's more costly to them to do this, and it would save cost to just keep the same internal design that doesn't accommodate this new 12 Pro Max camera. Then they can use it as a reason to upsell you, because you know that these conversations had to happen. Like, I'm sticking with what I said. The 12 Pro line should have the same exact cameras in both models, but they don't, and that's a bad Apple. And Apple could have even differentiated the Pro Max by giving it a terabyte of storage to really make this, Pro Max its own thing, something different, but they didn't, and I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way. Now you have, other than the cameras, I think for most people, this was just a pretty normal upgrade announcement with nothing spectacular worth feeling like you're going to be missing out, when a lot of these features are on Android phones already, except for the notch. But there was no 120 hertz refresh rate for the display, which most people won't even notice. The iPad Air 4 got the Touch ID sensor, and there's a lot of people that actually wanted it on this new iPhone, but that isn't there. Another thing people wanted, there's no USB-C port on this iPhone. Most people still won't get anything close to 5G speeds where they live, at least not yet. And then the iPhone's processor is already fast enough for pretty much everyone. We're talking about several generations ago. Now, Apple, they're still going to sell a ton of these because there's so many users that are always ready to upgrade wherever you are in the life cycle of your phone. I'm one of them. But this isn't a year where I would say this is absolutely the iPhone to get, because it's not. It also speaks to just how good and reliable these phones are. Apple doesn't need to shake this thing up drastically. They just have to do these minor incremental updates, and they're still going to sell them like hotcakes, which is exactly what they're doing. There's also another element to this keynote that I would say, I don't know if deceptive is the right word, but it has to be one of the sneakiest keynotes that Apple has done that I can remember. So just kind of follow along with me. I'm not just saying that just to say it, because we know about the removal of the power adapter and the earbuds. That's not what bothers me, but putting a Lightning to USB-C cable for a power adapter that, maybe 80% of your core user base doesn't even have, that is just honestly a crappy move by Apple, just for people who won't even be able to make sense of it at first. Now, I also mentioned how confusing it was to understand and really keep track of the camera specs. Apple could have put it all on a table, but they didn't. Apple made it even messier on their website for us to figure out. But if we're sticking with the cameras, I'm not going to keep on complaining about the two different cameras between the Pro and Pro Max, but we all saw Apple present the iPhone 12 Pro with a 4x zoom range and the 12 Pro Max with a 5x zoom range. And in that moment, we all thought to ourselves, wow, the iPhone is finally getting a real optical zoom like other phones. But they aren't. It's zoom range. And what that means is, look, there's a standard wide angle lens, right? That's the one that we pretty much use as the first lens your camera app opens to. Let's think of that as a ground zero. Now, if you go to the ultra wide lens, which is that far perspective shot, that's a 2x zoom out. So I would say think of that as -2. Then you have our telephoto lens, which is what we use to zoom in. So going from wide to zoomed in, that is a positive 2x. You have on the Pro Max a 2.5 times zoom in. Well, Apple is taking that entire zoom range from -2 to +2 to come up with the number 4x, and then taking -2 and 2.5 to come up with a 5x zoom range. And at first glance, almost everyone assumed it was a 4x optical or a 5x optical zoom. It's not. And I have just never seen a phone company present to their audience zoom range instead of just zoom. I've never seen it. It's never been done before that I can remember, especially from Apple, until now. So then that's not it. There's one more thing. Apple said the pricing of their iPhone lineup starts at $699 for the mini, $799 for the 12, $999 for the 12 Pro, and $1099 for the 12 Pro Max. But that's not entirely true for the 12 mini and the 12. If you're on AT&T or Verizon, you're going to get that $699 and $799 price. But if you're on Sprint or T-Mobile, your starting price is $729 and $829. That is $30 more. And there's no explanation for it. Apple just has a specials offer notation for AT&T and Verizon, and they haven't publicly addressed it. They're not going to. I got to imagine maybe it's a deal that they made with AT&T and Verizon to get 5G devices on their carrier. But if you're on T-Mobile or Sprint, you don't care. Like, you're definitely not happy about this because you're paying $30 more even at different storage levels, if you upgrade 12 mini and 12, you're still going to be paying $30 more. And I'm telling you, like after the dust settled on this one, it's like really strange, but this was really kind of like a semi-shady Apple iPhone launch. And I just can't remember it ever being like this after all the announcements. So look, you got the 4 things: the lightning to USB-C cable, making it hard to figure out these true camera comparisons and kind of like burying them, presenting us zoom range instead of acknowledging its pretty standard, if not a little weaker, optical zoom, and not being direct about the pricing of the phones. Look, I'm going to do this for all y'all. That's a bad Apple on top of a bad Apple on top of a whack Apple with the what the funk are you doing? That makes me mad Apple. Ugh. Like I've just never seen anything like it from them. I really haven't. And guess what? Here's the thing. A lot of us, like you and me, hey, we're still ready to upgrade to the next iPhone, baby. All right, the pre-order isn't easy, so you're going to want to follow along here as well. The two 6.1-inch models, the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, will be available for pre-order on Friday, October the 16th, and will be available in store or shipping on Friday, October the 23rd. The 5.4-inch iPhone 12 mini and the 6.7-inch iPhone 12 Pro Max pre-orders on November the 6th and will be available in stores or shipping on November the 13th. The HomePod mini pre-orders will start on November the 6th, and it will be available 10 days later on November the 16th. All right, this was a long video. I laughed, I cried, I threw good apples, I threw bad apples, but there was just so much to talk about. Like, I want to know what your reactions to the event were. What did you like? What didn't you like? Are you going to upgrade? Are you not? Are you frustrated about this whole iPhone 12 Pro camera situation? I am. I mean, look, I'm leaning strongly to just getting the 12 Pro and just forgetting about what they're doing with the 12 Pro Max. But if the camera and its photos and its video quality are really that much better after I test them out, it's going to be hard for me to not want to get the biggest iPhone. We'll see. You never know. It could change. But I want to hear it all in the comments where you are at with this, and I will write back if I care. Thanks again to Micro Audio for sponsoring this video. It's a really cool new app with a new way to consume news from your phone, and I'm enjoying using it. It takes the top stories from different news topics like tech, business, world news, and more, and puts them into 3 to 5 minute short form audio summaries that are easily digestible. There's no analysis or bias, just the facts of these stories, and you're not going to go through all these clickbait headlines. You can pull up full articles to read while you're listening to get perspectives from multiple outlets. Searching for news stories by keywords or topics, that's easy, and you can mark your favorites as well. Plus, you get some kind of fun metrics that track the stories that you've read. Select the topics you like and get a feed of the topics you care about. Micro Audio's presentation is just clean and slick, and this is an app that's easy to use, and for someone like me who doesn't have a lot of time, I know that I'm going to be using this for a while. So check out Micro Audio and get up to speed with the latest news fast. It's completely free, and you can download it today on the Apple App Store. All right, that's going to do it for this week. If you like what you see in this video, hey, you know what to do. Give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get my latest video when it drops with a tingly vibration in your pants. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'm Brian Tong. I'll see you soon. Take care and be safe. Peace and love.